Welcome, everyone, and to the last session before the party tonight. I'm super excited to have you here, though. So, you're considering why should we even use modern authentication? If you have modern authentication, and you realize the user's saying, I have password prompts in Outlook. If you are a consultant that might go out to the customer and helping them implement modern authentication, you should listen to this one and see if we can help out and give you some ideas to prevent issues, but also help you faster troubleshoot them. Do you feel comfortable troubleshooting modern authentication? It's painful. It's hard. I know, because I've been doing this for many years. I have worked as a support in 20 years with Outlook and Exchange. I have, since 2003, worked as an Outlook escalation engineer, working with you, maybe, in EMEA or my colleagues. I have the last 5 years worked on Outlook and authentication cases. So I know it's painful, it's hard. But we can do something about it. And I think depending on your role today, what you're coming from, I think you will have a little bit of everything in here. If you want to have an overview what it is all about, if you want to dig deeper in looking into fiddler traces and how to troubleshoot, and if you want to see something new, what is coming around identity, we have a little bit of everything for everyone. So, why do we even care about identity? Why don't we like to have it as it is today with using password? Because people are quite lazy. If you're looking at this slide here, this is our top passwords on Outlook.com. Security is not really the top concern in that case. So we need something better to be able to protect our identity. So we want to enable the right individuals to access the right resources at the right times and at the right reasons. So enable the right individuals, meaning in, outside our company. Resources, do they have the right permissions in order to do what they need to do? Right time, they need information, the right device, and the reason. Are they really the ones that should have the data? So it's all about protect the user and the data in the company, at the same time empower people. So it's a little bit what we have as empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more, but we need also protect. So today, we basically have 3 different scenarios. We have all up in the cloud, we have synchronization up to the cloud, and also federated, where all authentication happens on-prem. Of course, we have the on-prem one, but that's kind of not really Office 365 purely. And also we had something that was announced yesterday that we're going to do a little bit later on. But working in support, the first 2 is not really what we're having the most problems with, and I guess that's not what you have either. It's the one when we have the federated environment, where we have on-prem, we have mailboxes up in the cloud, we have maybe Skype, we have Excel, SharePoint. So this is the most complex, and this is the one we're going to concentrate today. Because it's also not only products, it's also underneath. It's routers, it's proxy packs, it's HTTP timeouts. It's a lot of things that makes it very hard to troubleshoot. So let's go in a little bit into modern authentication, or AUTH, or ADAL. And ADAL stands for Active Directory Authentication Library. And if you see MA, it's sort of modern authentication, and MFA, multi-factor authentication. So what does it mean? Well, It means that we are no longer, basically from the Outlook side, using password and setting it up. We can enable multi-factor authentication, and that is something we're going to go and look into a little bit deeper later on, and why we want to do that. But I think you got a hint when you saw the Outlook.com and the passwords. We need to do it a little bit more secure than that. It also means this is a standard, so we can use third-party, and also we can use conditional access because it's happened up in the cloud. And the good thing is it's happened across the platforms. It's Windows, iOS, Android, or phone. To understand a little bit where we are today from the Microsoft perspective, and also to understand, depending on the client version you're using, I'd like to just briefly go to the history. So 2006, Twitter and Magnolia wanted to kind of have a different way of authenticating. They wanted some kind of delegate authentication. And they looked at the market, and they didn't find anything. So they started to build a spec for it. And soon Google came along and added to it. And after a few years, rather quickly, we have 2012, a spec from OAuth 2.0 that is standard that we're all using today. So 2014, some of you might remember that we have a private preview and starting to have authentication for our, for instance, Exchange. So we had enabled that. But at the point, the clients were not available to do that, or couldn't do it. So we had a register key to enable it for Office 2013 clients. For 2016, it's on by default, assuming the tenant is actually enabled on modern authentication. And devices is the same thing, depending on the products. So we came, as Microsoft, in a little bit later to the game. That's why, in some circumstances, like for Office 2013, you need a register key. So if you're looking at the enterprise here, why do enterprises like it? It's basically because it's still authentication against your own environment. And it's no password over the internet, which is good. And again, we saw that people are a little bit lazy. And it's available across the platforms, and it's also available on different products. But you have to remember, if you're thinking about small companies, small and medium, that don't have the IT departments that maybe you are belonging to, it's equally important, if not even more important for them, to use modern authentication, to be able to protect their own identities and the data they have. So it's across the board, so Microsoft 365 and Microsoft 365 for Business. And now you're wondering, why I am bringing up the client as an update here. So as I said, I'm coming from support. I have worked with a lot of different cases, so it's important for me to show updates on the clients is important, but it's also important to understand where we're coming from, so we can make it good decisions. So most likely, as you know, if you have Office 2013 or 16, we have regular updates, monthly updates, and it happens on Patch Tuesday. So every Tuesday, we release updates. But perhaps you didn't know, if we don't have any security updates in the release package, we release it the first Tuesday. So you can go to Microsoft Catalog in order to then install it and start testing in your own environment. Then we have Click to Run. And Click to Run was something we wanted to develop because we realized even if we have monthly updates, not everyone applied these updates every month. So perhaps if you have talked to us in support, you realize one of the first things we ask, do you have the latest update applied? And the reason for that is, of course, we have fixed a lot of things in the latest releases, so it could be a delta. So that's one of the reasons. And Click to Run is also update every month. But we also most likely see here, we have current channel, first release, deferred channel, and deferred channel. And yep, we changed the names again. So this time, we have changed them to monthly channel, that's the CC. We have changed it to semi-annual channel and channel for broad. The reason we wanted to do that is the feedback we got from you. The larger customers' accounts, it was too often that the updates came. So that's why it's only twice a year now. But the other monthly updates are still there and valid. And we're also testing it. And how do we test it? We are testing it in different ways. How many of you know about Microsoft Windows Insider or Office Insider? There's a few. Good. I have some good news for you regarding Office Insider later on. So what happened is, if you sign up to Insider, what we call dog food, we're also testing it internally. Then we push it out to Microsoft IT, which is internally at Microsoft, and then it goes out to Insider for you to give us feedback on how the features are working, and also because it's very complex to test today. Then we have the more production line, where we're talking about also internally, we're going in outside, slow, and then eventually to production. But it's all about quality for click to run. That was 2016, so we still have MSI, and we still have click to run. But something that is super important for you to know, there's a difference between MSI and click to run. For MSI, we only update basically hot fixes and security updates. Click to run, we're adding features related to the service every month. So MSI version, we don't add any new functionality to. For click to run, we keep adding it every month. For 2013, it's a little bit different because MSI is most likely the biggest installation base. But when we're talking about authentication cases, it's important to know that it's not only the application, like Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint. We also update the MSO DLL because MSO is the glue that put all the authentication together, plus ADOL. So when you're going to the client and you're having issues, and I come to that a little bit later when we do the workflow, make sure the client is updated, but also make sure that MSO and ADOL is updated because you don't want to run into problems that we already fixed. And as I said, there are different places where we can actually have the updates. You can download it from Windows Update, Catalog, or manually. And it's also different between MSI and Click to Run. Click to Run, you have the connection point. So here is the fun part, where we normally talking about. So password prompt in Outlook, and user saying, what caused it? And you come to see, well, is it the client? Is it the connection? Is it ADOL? Is it AD? Is it the service? Is my ADFS server? Is it my domain controller? Is it synchronization domain controller? It's absolutely everything that could be. But we're going to have a workflow that we can go through that quicker going to narrow it down how we're going to find the problems. So the problem is also normally the people that have a tendency to get the password prompt, at least in Outlook, is upper management. And they have a tendency to not really appreciate password prompts, and they don't want to give away their laptops either. So we need to be smart when we troubleshoot it. So we're going to do a little bit of a journey here, and I'm going to explain it by flying. Normally, as I said, I'm from Stockholm, but Stockholm was too long, so I had to take it another way. So we're starting with Munich. So imagine following. You're going to the Munich airport, and you know that you're going to take a plane. You're going straight to the security because you know the plane straight away. The security guy says, where's your check-in? Where is your boarding pass? And they said, I don't have any. He's going to say, thank you, but you need to go over there and do a check-in. And he points me in direction to where the kiosks are. And this is exactly the same thing that's happening with modern authentication. So we're going to tie the flight traveling that we're going to do today together with modern authentication, so you can actually remember how it works. So for modern authentication, this is how it is. As I said, I'm coming from Outlook, but this is the same thing. The workflow is the same from Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, because it's a single sign-on. So if you sign in Word, it should work in Outlook. The reason you have more prompts in Outlook is because it's a little more chattier in terms of authentication, either on-prem or up in the cloud. So in this case, I open a link. Could be a Word document, but in this case, I wanted to have it at a mailbox. And I go to Exchange. And basically, I'm just going to post, and I'm going to say, hey, I am using Outlook, and I'm going to use bearer. And bearer is in the header to say, hey, I'm actually using this. I'm going to be enabled on the client to say I can use modern authentication. And then I have a client request ID. I'm going to get back to that later on. And the user. And then as a security guy, he said, no, you can't get past here. You don't have a boarding pass. OK. So he's going to give me 401 in modern authentication. And he also gave me a URL. And you can already here think about what this means. So if you have a user that says it doesn't work, or you have a company saying it doesn't work, you can start Fiddler, as this is a Fiddler trace, and I just took it out there because it's easier to show it like that than in a trace. So if you're looking at the Fiddler trace and starting it, and you see that in the beginning you don't even have bearer in the beginning, then of course none of this will work. Then you need to look at the client. Do you have the updates on the client that actually support the new modern authentication? If it's 2013, do I have the registry key? If it's 16, do I have the registry key to disable it? So already here, we can determine quicker where to start troubleshoot. And also you can see it says trusted issuer. And that also indicates what kind of secure token services that we're using. I also see that you have an URL there. Imagine that you do have bearer in the header, and then the URL here is wrong. Then, of course, it would be like the security guy pointing you to the train station. You will never find your check-in kiosk. So this is another way to quickly determine how it works. So what happens then? You're actually going to the kiosk. You find in the kiosk, and you type in your reference number. And a reference number, and then you type your seat. And what happens then? You actually get two things, right? You get a ticket, and on the ticket it says, keep this throughout your journey. And you get another thing. You're getting boarding pass. And the boarding pass is, of course, in the authentication world, not the airline ticket, a boarding pass. It is a refresh token. The ticket is a refresh token because it's going to be along the way. The boarding pass is going to be specific. I cannot, even if I would like to, I can't fly to Hong Kong. But this flight is actually from Munich to Seattle. So it has all the characteristics so I can actually access it. And it's exactly the same thing in modern authentication. And refresh token is longer lived. And it's a user principal name, and it's specific to access tokens. So it's longer lived, and may you have seen that it's between 14 to 90 days. That has changed, and I will go back to that a little bit later on. By default, but your tenants that you're having today, if you're not using it, it could be down to 14 days. And it's also stored in Credential Manager. So then we have the access token, and the access token is short-lived, it's up to an hour. And it's also in the registry, so you can see it. And you have to remember here, when we're talking about saving things in Credential Manager, we are not saving the password, we are saving the refresh token. The long grid that you see there. We're not saving anything else. And the access token is saved in the registry as a cache. So then you can argue, do you get more prompts just because you have modern authentication? Considering I'm coming from support, yeah, maybe, but not really. That's not the intention, because it's single sign-on, and it's a refresh token, and we're going to ask for new things. It's going to live longer, so no. But policies can change on the admin side, but the idea is not. So let's continue. I got my 401, and then what? So I have my access, I got my access denied, and at that point I go to the URL, and this time, because Exchange knows that I'm using modern authentication, it's going to point me to the service that's going to give me a token. And then the service is going to say, fine, awesome, but you are federated. I don't have anything for you in my account. So you need to go to your own. So at this point, you already got, you remember the white dialog that comes up that you're typing in your jonasg@contoso.com? Now that comes up. And when I press that, I'm then going to say, go to my ADFS server. So if you're taking a step back right now, if you have a client, a customer, saying it doesn't work, of course, obviously, we can start asking, has it ever worked? Yes or no. If we say no, do you get the dialogue? And they say, what dialogue? Okay, already here, we can stop in the troubleshooting because we know that for some reason, the step that we didn't get up the dialogue, we failed already there. We don't have to go to ADFS and maybe the FS team to do troubleshooting. We don't have to do looking at network at other places because we haven't even got that place. So we need rather quickly to determine, okay, we can concentrate on this side. ADFS then gave me the information, and it sends back, okay, I'm going to request the password prompt. And now that comes up. So again, if this second prompt don't come up, then of course it's time to talk to ADFS. Do we actually see that anything hitting my ADFS server? Are we blocking everything? And what's happening on the ADFS server is that the ADFS server goes to the domain controller, and the domain controller is going to check the hash. Is that the right one for the user's credential that we have? Yes or no? If it doesn't, if that domain controller do not know that this is the right password, it's go to the PDNC emulator and check, have this user changed the password recently? And then yes or no, it sends back. So in this case, if you're using ADFS and you want to quickly have an update on what's information there, you can start a command line in PowerShell as an admin, and you can put it out in a nice, neat way. And you can also enable event logging. So we're adding the credentials, and I'm sending it over, ADFS is checking them, and now when actually they have approved them, I got a SAML token. It's a different token, and that token I cannot use for anything else than giving to the EVA STS server and say, hey, I got this from my ADFS server. And ADFS server and STS server are synchronized in terms of they trust each other. So when I know when this SAML token is coming from this ADFS federated customer, I can trust it. And at that point, I'm then sending over a refresh token and an access token. And then, as a client, I get to save them down in Credential Manager. You can use, for instance, Fiddler and look at the trace, and you can see expires in 3600, and it's the second, which is basically an hour. You can also expire on and not before, and that is in seconds after 1970, 1st of January. I don't know why we started there, but that's where we have it. And then, when I do have my refresh token, when I do have my access token, then I go to my server and open up the document, Excel, or Word, or PowerPoint. So having this workflow, sometimes you don't even have to go to the client or to different servers. You can start looking into this one and see where is the problem. So this workflow is very powerful when you're starting to troubleshoot authentication cases no matter what you do. And then we're sending off the bearer. And then, in this case, I open up the specific exchange count. So, if you want to quickly on the client, I mean, it's installing Fiddler to check if the client actually are using modern authentication might be a little bit overkill. So if you want to use Outlook, you can right-mouse click on Outlook on the sys tray, and you can see it's using bearer as authentication. That is a quick way to see, it's actually using it. And again, this is not specifically to Outlook, but as coming from there, that's why we're using it. And also, we can use third-party and it's a trust between the STS and ADFS. So we can know when we're getting the SAML token, we know that it's actually the correct one. And the reason we also talk about Outlook, as I said before, it's a bit chatty in terms of this. And here's a list, as I said, the starting point. The client, the cases we've been working on, the client needs to be updated. That's a good starting point. But it's also if you're using third-party vendors instead of ADFS, for instance, including SDFS, make sure it's up to date as well. And this is a good list to make sure that you actually have it. So go to the link there to get the latest updates. So then you come wondering, where is modern authentication coming into this world? Where is that one in our flight scenario? So let's go that back again. So we go to the flight. So remember when we go to the kiosk, and I'm using either my reference number and putting in my passport, then at that point we can have a check and saying, this is Jonas. Let's see if we can call him because he's registered here before. So they're calling me at that point to say, hey, is it you? Yes, it's still me. And after that, I can choose my seat and where I'm going. So that is where modern authentication lives. And why do we even use modern authentication? It's basically a stronger need, and I think the need is enough when I saw the Outlook.com. We need to improve the overall security for our data and for either for ourselves or for our organization. And it's competitive. It's driving the strong encryption. It's also the increased use of mobile devices that we can actually use now. And also, not forget, it's sometimes federal and security certifications. And it's something that the user knows, a username or password. It could also be cell phone, and we're getting back to the cell phone. And it's sometimes biometric, fingerprint, voice, rental, something. In Office 365, we have implemented multi-factor authentication by using phone or app, and also timestamp. You can't wait like a few days to kind of approve it. You have to do it in a certain time. So why do we focus on phone? Beside of Hollywood movies, it's really a bit difficult to actually just simply to take the phone number or intercept that we're actually having that. And also, but best of all, if you're thinking about adding another layer of security and the users that you want to use already have a phone that you can use. So it's kind of a win-win situation for the companies. So most of the people actually do have a phone already, so you can actually apply that. So from that point of view, you're increasing the security significantly, and at the same time, you don't have to deliver hardware to the users. So the good thing having Office 365 with multi-factor authentication is always protected. It's scalable because it's delivered up in Azure, and it's simplified. It's another layer that we can use to improve the security. So let us continue with our journey. So at this point, I'm coming to Seattle. Can I use my same boarding pass when I'm flying to Orlando? No, this one has expired, right? So I need a new one. So at this time, I'm taking my ticket that I'm still having, and I'm using that to produce another boarding pass. And this is exactly the same thing that's happening when I'm using existing token, and I'm going to request for something new. So let's go through this scenario. So we already have a refresh token. Since I have it in Credential Manager, I used to use Outlook or Word, Excel before. So I'm having my refresh token and I have my access token. I'll send it over to the server. At this point, as the same thing had happened with my flight, my boarding pass has expired, and so has my access token. So it's going to say no. And again, it's going to have the same redirect as we had in the first scenario. But this time, I'm going to present the refresh token to the STS service because I already have it. And after that, I get an access token back. And this is how it is. I presented it already. And then I got something back. In return, I get my access token. And the whole story here is quite powerful, again, when you're working with clients. As I said before, if you said, has it ever worked before? Yeah or no. If it's yes, then we can say that all these different password prompts that are coming, we kind of know that the whole system is set up correctly, right? Because it used to work. If it's not working today, but it's working previously, it could be related to the access token. And then the workflow is totally different. We don't have to start thinking that the client is not updated. We don't have to go through that we don't have the right URL, because we already know that the workflow is working. Then, of course, we can start thinking, okay, the access token, what happens around the access token? Like password prompts is most likely something you have seen quite often, and it's breaking the workflow as well. So what happens is when you're changing the password, after some time you also need to come up with a new refresh token. And at that point, if you don't get the dialog up, we know that something is broken. So from the service side, we're sending access token is expired, and then we should have this dialog. So we're going back. It worked yesterday. I'm changing the password, and now I can't get connection again. And then we know, okay, it's something with access token, it's something with refresh token, it worked. So we have already narrowed down, because sometimes people running off to do the ADFS server logging, we're looking at domain controllers. We need to be a little bit more specific since we already know the whole workflow is working. Another thing that is important to know and understand, it's client access filtering. You may have discussions with people in your organization that we have the best claims rules done ever on the ADFS server. And that might be true, but when we're talking about modern authentication, it might be slightly different. And you're wondering what is different, and I'm just about to show you. So the client access filtering from ADFS side inspects the headers, as you most likely know. It's limited, and it also doesn't check the OAuth traffic. The conditional access policies that lives up in the cloud is it can use modern authentication. It's granular, and also it's broader across Office 365. So if you're thinking about the picture again that we just saw, like we're having the best claims rules on ADFS server, you may have that, but in modern authentication, when I already have my first refresh token and access token, where is ADFS server the second time when I only go up to the cloud? So that's why you should invest in client access rules up in the cloud. So I'm going to talk a little bit as well on what is coming and what is new. This was released, pass-through identity model. That was actually announced yesterday. Azure AD B2B is also relatively new. Alternate login ID, we're going to look into that a little bit. And hybrid on OAuth with Exchange and Skype. And the clients we're talking about is Outlook Desktop, Office Desktop, and we're talking about different products, right? So, pass-through identity. This was new, as I said, and it was announced yesterday. So before, we have two different models. We have one model where we're using federated that we already talked about. So the client with one authentication. The client goes to the cloud, and the cloud says, no, you need to authenticate on your own environment. Then we have the hashed password synchronization when we synchronize it up in the cloud, and the AD is using that. Azure AD is using that. This is a combination of them all, you can say. So pass-through identity authentication, the user will log on to the cloud, and then we're going to do a tunnel down to your own environment. And there is a client, an agent running, that's going to take care of the authentication. And this is something new, and it's all for small to large, and it's easier to deploy. And you can apply several agents to your own on-prem services and to have some load balances. And the good thing is that we still authenticate up in the cloud. So all the client access filtering, condition access are actually there. So this is something new, and below you have two links that you can read up on it more. Azure AD B2B. This was also mentioned, I think, already on Monday. And this is about giving people from other organizations access to yours. Like giving teams, for instance, give access to guest users outside my own organization. And then you, as an admin, will administrate them with different permissions as you would use for normal. And this is also big, and you can also see it on the link on the left side for more information. This is something that is still coming, and it is hybrid. And you said, yes, everything is hybrid, but this is a little bit different, because if you remember, we have had mailboxes up in the cloud, we had multi-factor authentication, modern authentication up in the cloud, but now we're talking about Skype on-prem and Exchange on-prem. And I'm just going to go through the model here, because this is new, and how the authentication works. And then again, this is a workflow that you will start to be familiar with. So a client starts, and it goes to the on-prem Exchange or Skype. Now the new thing is, it's going to say, but you need to go back to go to the cloud for authentication. If you remember the last one where we talked about the client, you recognize that this is actually something new for Skype. This didn't happen before. So now the Skype on-prem can actually use the cloud. And of course, we're starting to have the same theory and the same discussion, the workflow we had before. Directory says no. Okay, you need to go to the FS server, and in the FS server, you're going to check your credentials, and then you're going back. And then back to that, you have your identity, you're being presented, and then you go to Exchange or your Skype on-prem, and then they're going to realize, you know what, actually, you are actually in the cloud. So this user have to go to the cloud, this already have an access token, and it goes back, and then it actually need an access token to get it, and then we can log on up in the Skype. So you see the workflow that we're having here, it's exactly the same. So no matter if it's Skype, or is it Outlook, Word, it's the workflow is the same. And that's why it's so important to look at the workflow I showed to give you a quicker understanding on where to troubleshoot the problem and what to do. Because you will quicker determine where you put your resources. I'm not going to say just because you don't have bearer on the client the first, it's going to be easy. Or ADFS that for some reason when you're having not reaching ADFS and a problem, that's going to be simple to solution to find out. But at least you know where to troubleshoot. Before it was, I don't know where to start. But now, because of the workflow, you can talk to the user and say, what do you see? I don't see the prompt. OK, which one? The first, the second one? I do get one. And then you can use the workflow, and then you can concentrate on that. And that's saving you a lot of time and pain and frustration. So alternate login ID, this is you remember when I mentioned that we're using an MSO? So this is for all the Office clients. This is currently in work in progress. So this is coming, but I know it's something that we all have some issues with. So basically, it's Tim. We have a local environment. We have UPN. And Tim has always logged on to the very famous Contoso domain with Tim. And he has an email address, tim@contoso.com. This particular customer, Contoso, is now realized, I want to go to the cloud. So we're putting it there. We're having a user, UPN, an email. Oopsie, sorry, went too fast. And then the problem is we need a specific UPN. We need a routable UPN. And now, when I'm logging on, I don't have that because I'm logging on to AAD, and the background is just going to take what I have local. So it's actually going to try to log on up in the cloud with my local tim@contoso.local domain, and I can't find it because actually ID is .com. So that is a scenario. And this is also online, it's also activation. So this is something we're working on, and it's going to help a lot of different scenarios for us. Because it's quite confusing for the users, right? They want to go to up in the cloud, and then for some reason, the password dialog shows the on-prem, and they don't know what to use and at what stage. And it's always the wrong one that you use. So this is something that we're working on and trying to improve. I'm going to go you through some scenarios what I have worked on, just to give you an idea. And one, I think the most famous one for Outlook is disconnect. And if you see Outlook and disconnect, you can almost bet it's actually related to authentication. So you have to remember, authentication is either yes or no. It's not like, maybe. When we have maybe, the Outlook actually goes into disconnect mode. It doesn't know. So somewhere along the line, something is wrong. It could be, in this case, it could be absolutely everything. It could be the client is not updated. It could be that the third party, ADFS, is not updated. But it's important to see when you have users when having disconnect, you should not really think it's always connectivity. It could equally be authentication. Another thing to ask a customer, have you just recently changed the password? And if I kill the credential manager, then it all works. And then we're starting thinking, what does it mean to kill the credential manager for this? Well, we remove the refresh token. So if we remove the refresh token, it means we have to go to AWS back and go to ADFS, and ADFS prompt for password, and we save everything. That is working, but when my password has changed, I don't get that workflow. It's almost like the refresh token, access token scenario is not working. So that's why it's important for you to be able to use the workflow and specify the questions, and also it's quicker. And there are certain tools. If, for instance, you have heard of Office Analyzer, OFCAT, Fiddler is a tool, especially for modern authentication, that is very useful. Sarah is another tool, and test connectivity. I'm going to show you a little bit later on. But these disconnect issues are hard, but you can use the workflow again to go through them. And I just want to give you the list again to see what you understand. So here we have the whole workflow, and you can use it over and over again, depending on what scenarios you're running into. Some of you most likely have realized when you do upgrade to Office 365, setup keeps, and Outlook keep working, it keeps prompting for password no matter what you do. You can use OFCAT, you can use Fiddler, we can use tracing, but it doesn't work. And you remember what I talked about before? There's a lot of components in here involved, and this is one of them. we have seen a lot of customers having setting this register key, and I also have a link to it. And this specific register key means the client cannot go to internet. And if you have a service that is on the internet, then this register key is not really the best one to have, because you cannot actually get there. So this is actually usually a key that is quite common. So think about that one if you're having consistently password prompts. Then you might remember when I started in the beginning that I said that refresh tokens and access tokens have been 14 days to 90 days, depending on how much you use them. New tenants from now on is slightly different. Now it's actually down to 90 days, or up to 90 days of inactivity. It can also, of course, if you have admin policies, then all bets are off. But we have changed it, and we have looked at this, we have looked at telemetry, we have investigated from security point of view, but this, from right now, is always a balance. You can also think like, okay, I want users to have a shorter access token. That must be the most secure way to use it. Because if I have an access token that expires after 10 minutes, and then they're leaving my network, then it's actually they can't access anything else after 10 minutes. Yes, true, but it also means more traffic, for instance, to your ADFS server, maybe, depending on what the settings you have. And use, I would say, conditional access to block users if you want them to look more secure from outside. And also there are lifetimes, as I said. You can now change the refresh token lifetime and access token lifetime. But don't just put it on the minimum to think that that's the best thing to do. Because, for instance, it's like, okay, I want to use refresh token to the absolutely minimum. That means that the ADFS server and that system is going to be bombarded, and the poor users are most likely going to get password prompts quite often. So it's always a balance on what you do. Another common scenario that we get is about disabled accounts. They are different depending on what you're looking for and how quickly we can actually do that. So depending on the scenario, but it's about 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and up to 3 hours if you do AD synchronization. And if you think about it, it's again, this is more perhaps when you want the people not to have any access to the company at all. So if you do have access to it, and you disable the account, and they actually go outside, and we still have an active refresh token, and an active access token is up to an hour. So what happens in the background is, we are killing the refresh token, so we're synchronizing between the Exchange, for instance, Office 365 to Evo STS and saying this refresh token is no longer valid. So when the user says, hey, I'm coming with an access token here, and it's already expired, then I can't get it because the access token is dead, and we can't get new password because the account is blocked. And below is also a link to how you can do different scenarios depending on how to disable accounts, because sometimes perhaps you want to keep the data. So there are a very good link on that one, just to give you as a good reference. When we're talking about tools that we are using in support, one of the tools is we're going to test connectivity. And there we have different options to use depending on the scenario. But again, another piece I can recommend you is Microsoft and Recovery Assistant for Office 365. That gives you a little bit more scenario, and you can download it yourself. But as you realize in this specific session, I have talked quite a lot of it Fiddler. And I think if you're starting to use Fiddler, that is the tool you should look into when you're running modern authentication cases. It will give you, again, using the workflow, it's going to be quicker to determine where it is and where to put in your resources and troubleshooting them. I have added a link, a few links to where some tools and what to think about. So when we're talking about it, I have said it workflow several times, but it's actually so true. It's really helpful when we're working with these modern authentication cases. So enable the tenant, make sure that is enabled. That's kind of a good starting point. And then we're looking at the client. So how many of you are using 2013 today? There's a few. 16? Something that is not 13 and 16, something older? Okay, so then you're wondering, what happens with an older client then? Well, they don't speak modern authentication, which basically means we're just going to use the normal way of communicating. We are not blocking them. We don't know how to secure them. So for 2013, we need to enable the register key, and 16 is on by default. And again, make sure that the clients are up to date, as well as the servers. I'm not talking about the backend servers in the cloud. I'm talking about your ADFS server, if you have third-party servers. It's so important because I've seen so many issues and cases when that is happening. So, what will be your next step when you're going home? Well, enable a tenant for modern authentication. Enable multi-factor authentication for the users to strengthen your own environment. And if you have a 13, you have a register key. And if you have 2016, it's on by default. But something I can, based on experience, please don't forget to involve the user or communicate them. They are extremely surprised when suddenly it's not working the way it used to do. So whenever you change something, please make sure you actually don't forget the users. And attach is also depending on where you are with links. Then there is something that I got to what I am working with right now. I said I've been working in support for 20 years. I have recently moved over to the Outlook product team. And right now we're working on something called in-app support. This means that if you have Insider, you can actually open support tickets with us directly in our team. And the reason we're doing that, we want a quicker feedback on the features that we're actually enabling. So if you are on Insiders, if you're not, please go on there. And if you have questions, if you have feedback, how we can help you better, please open ticket with us and give us feedback so we can really improve the product. This is not to make sure, this is not to exclude the Premier support in any way or any other existing support that we have there. This is just to give us a better way to act on features that we're adding into the product. As part of this LinkedIn, I also have a link where you can actually go and get some training and more information about this. And again, thank you, and I will let you go to the Absolutely party. And thank you for listening, and if you have any questions later on, I'm happy to stay and take them afterwards. Thank you.